Initial views on Minotaur research paper.
Hello everyone, this is Hans out of North Pole, and today we're going to look at another research paper. I really enjoyed doing the last research paper initial viewpoints on conclave yesterday, and I would like to continue this. It's a great way for me to refresh my own knowledge, and it's also a way to share some viewpoints and sometimes what I believe is good for the ecosystem. And also I should disclose, warn that I'm not a mathematician, so when it comes to the math part of the research articles, I think it's much better others can comment on that. But I do believe I can contribute with some initial viewpoints, and as well as how an SPO or a community member reacts to the research. So with that said, let's look at Minotaur, multi-resource blockchain consensus. So this is the research paper, and it's always nice to see IOHK collaborating with many different research partners all across the world. Cryptocurrency theory is a global phenomenon, and it matters for everyone. You won't find this research paper on the webpage of IOHK yet, I think. It's just recently published, 27th January 2022. But it's a very, very cool article, as conclave was super cool when it comes to pooling research together for smaller staking pools to have enough resources. Then Minotaur is mind-blowing when it comes to the security of the system, as we shall see. In my opinion, as it always is with a research paper, you have this abstract where you present the ID, but also where it stands in the current literature and why it's an important question. And in a very short form, that's the abstract, I guess. In this case, Minotaur, it's discussing how all of the different cryptocurrencies have this proof of X. Like they have one resource that they are either spending or having to prove they have influence in the system. And in proof of work, it's proof of W, it's usually GPU or some other form of computational work. In proof of stake, it's usually having this token or this resource or this value in the cryptocurrencies. And as they discuss, this raises the fundamental question, is it possible to utilize all these resources in tandem? And could you, with this tandem use of the research, make it more secure by having to need the cumulative adversarial power across all the resources? And that's a powerful idea, because sure, there's been dual coins, there's been many such designs, but I don't believe before anyone has made it so that it's very easily fungible. So it can be, these two resources can have value between each other, easily moved, and at the same time that it's the security is depending on both of the blocks in equal amounts. And what we will see in Minotaur, it also depends, it fluctuates. So when the proof of work is higher, then the proof of work part of the system makes it more secure, and when it's lower, then the proof of stake takes more of the responsibility. And that this fluctuation, this ability to adjust on the fly is also a huge idea, because just imagine useful proof of work or some type of work that's not computing a cryptographic signature used for something else, for AI calculation, for example. And if you have this flexibility so that you can rent out or use it temporarily for something else, and then back again to the to helping with security of the system. Or in another example would be like let's say there's an actor trying to attack one of the parts of the system, then you could scale up more the proof of work part of the system if it was in the resource side. So this flexibility gives a lot of power to the community. And when you think about it, it would be in the future, if you can make this more than just two resources. Imagine with multiple types of proof of work and with proof of stake as well, maybe even multiple different proof of stakes. How would it be possible even for the strongest of state actors to attack this type of a system? It would be almost impossible. I cannot see how you would do that. You have so many possibilities to secure decentralization and secure that it can't be attacked. So from a security standpoint as well, this is a very powerful idea. And I would like a future where that is possible, where it's easy to add more security as needed with more resources. It's a very cool idea. So I guess that's the essence of this Minotaur, but we will look more into it. So the key challenge to combining multiple resources is determining the exchange rate. So if you're going to have this like fluctuating system where it suddenly proof of work can be higher or suddenly proof of stake is higher, you need to have some form of idea of this exchange rate between those two. To what extent the different resources are translated into power of authority in the system, and to extract security from these resources in an optimal manner. Adapting the exchange rate dynamically to the participation levels in each resource type result in truly fungible notion of resources. It's a basic and fundamental goal. And here we try to describe this fungibility. By truly fungible, we mean that the security of the multi-resource consensus protocol is guaranteed as long as the honest player controls a majority of the combined resource that consists of each resource type in the system. So for me, I don't think this has ever been done before. As far as I'm aware, both having this dynamic exchange rate and also making sure it's the combined resource that's what's secure in the system. And as I say here, they know there's several designs of hybrid proof of work, proof of stake protocols, but these protocols, however, are either heuristic, they lack a formal security analysis, or makes assumption that breaks fungibility. So the honest majority in, for example, just proof of stake or in the mining is enough that you can attack the system with just going after that. So it doesn't have this combined resource for security to such an extent that it's truly fungible. And that's, wow, that's a powerful idea. So also, how do you start such a chain? They discuss in the article that it's very powerful that you can start with proof of stake, because it's very easy to do the initial coin offering, do airdrops and such. And you can start in with this like exchange rate that's flexible. You could start the chain in proof of stake and gradually move into a pure proof of work or a mix of the combined. And for me, that raises an interesting question, like, could you actually add new resources later? So let's say you have proof of work on GPUs, but you see, oh, we are truly grabbing too much energy from doing this proof of work. There's so much more energy efficient ways of proof of work, like proof of space, having stored on hard disks. That's more energy efficient, and I'm sure there's other examples like that. But could you then add this new resource and gradually move towards this? That would mean a path forward for many current cryptocurrencies. And yeah, that's a very powerful idea to have this this system that could. And for me, this is part of the next wave of cryptocurrencies, I guess, because you need to constantly be improving. And when you have this flexible system, it's much easier to gradually move to the next thing, to the next technology, to the next step in the line if you can have this flexible exchange. So the flexibility is such a powerful part of this idea, and I would really highlight that. That opens up a lot of possibilities. Let's see, there was one more point I wanted to look at. Yeah, so they are discussing also when you have this combined proof of work and proof of stake, like are there some types of attacks you need to look out for? And when it comes to this dual model with proof of stake, proof of work, it's interesting to see that how that opens up possibilities to protect the network in new ways. So here they discuss like a spam filter. For example, I guess it's not a DDoS attack. It's not attacking the TCP of the network, but it's spamming transactions. That's a way to very current in the current debate in Cardano now with all of this congestion about the transactions. Could you have some form of spam filter that validates these transactions? For example, what if someone is putting out almost empty blocks, and they can do that because there's no type of filter, no type of verification of these blocks, and they're freeloading the network because they are faster. It's faster to send these blocks, and they'll get their money because their rewards are there because they have produced a block. But they prove no value. They don't do a real transaction to the system. So having this proof of stake, proof of work system, you could have the miners validate the transactions, or I guess any other resource could validate what's happening on another part of the network. And then you can make sure that if there's a conflicting transaction, I guess that will be if it's dual spend or something like that. Or I guess you could even like, is this an empty transaction? Why is this on the network? I guess that will fall in under a spam filter. Then you could say like, this should not enter the proof of stake. And you could use this computational power for good. So yeah, I think this idea has real potential. I'm not sure I understand that correctly, how they implement it. I have to read this part more carefully. But that's my own thinking about it. Like, if you have multiple resources, why not use one resource to help with the other part of the system? Like, you use the advantage of each resource. If you're using a proof of work, you have lots of computational power. Why not use that for the other part of the chain? It makes all the sense in the world to me. So I don't have much more on Minotaur. Let's go back to the beginning. But again, Cardano have so much cool research lined up, and I'm so excited for the future for Cardano. Yeah, we're having troubles now. Yeah, there's some short-term pains with congestion. There's a big debate on transaction, on net neutrality. I think we are in for some really exciting times when it comes to how we move forward. But for me, when we move forward, we need to have knowledge. We need to know what are the different ideas out there, what are the possibilities. And my small contribution to that is to look at some of the research articles and try to communicate those to the community. I believe that's important. We do self-education on this, because at the end of the day, it's not going to be the researchers themselves who will decide on this. Truly, we are now a decentralized community. It will be everyone with a stake in Cardano who have a say in how we develop. So it's important we have a basic knowledge of these things. So that's it for me for this small research report. If you like this, I would love to do more. I think I will do some more research papers because it's very enjoyable for myself. I enjoy reading research papers. And if you have any comments like what I should improve, let me know. So take care.